What was a fact that you regret knowing? Cockroaches can fly at 5 kilometers per hour and can live 3 weeks without their head. They eventually die of starvation. They have a main brain in their head and also a primitive brain near their abdomen. Cockroaches also predate grass. The last one is not that scary but kinda scary knowing they've been here so long, so getting them out will be harder and they will probably outlive humans. Edit reworded some stuff. More people have tapeworms than dogs. That makes them the most popular pet. The Challenger space shuttle astronauts were most likely alive and awake on the way down. That my real mum is my sister, I'm adopted. When David Foster Wallace hanged himself on his back porch, he tied his hands together with duct tape so that even if he changed his mind at the last minute, he wouldn't be able to escape. He had been struggling with severe mental health issues for more than a decade, so it was sad but not surprising when he finally succeeded in committing suicide. I just wish I didn't know that detail about the duct tape. Netflix raised the price again. The way rabies kills, once you have symptoms, you're already dead. Bears don't really care if their prey is alive or dead. So most bear killings, maulings likely happened while the human was still alive, and likely conscious and terrified. It's harder to recognize suicidal people than you'd think. I don't really regret knowing this, but it's a depressing fact nonetheless. The youngest recorded person to give birth was 5 years old. Edit. For those asking, here's the link. Every time you think of a fond memory, you rewrite that memory in your brain. And with time it will slowly deviate more and more from what you originally remembered, without you ever knowing it. Doctors performed surgeries on infants without anesthesia until the 80s, they thought the babies couldn't feel pain. Edit. For those asking me medical questions, I have absolutely no idea. I don't even remember where I saw this fact, but I just always have remembered it, plus where I got the fact from was referencing open heart surgery on an infant. And adding a source, however, surveys of medical professionals indicate that as recently as 1986 infants as old as 15 months were receiving no anesthesia during surgery at most American hospitals. This was the NY Times. So there is a good possibility it is still happening in other countries. Also, thanks for the wholesome awards you weirdos, stay wacky. That a girl I majorly fancied at the time wanted me to make a move but I didn't, found out like 4 years later. Furby's eyes are in the front, which would make them a predator. Not really a fact. But when I was 20, I wasn't afraid of anything. Now that I am approaching 40, I've learned of so many ways things can go wrong and people can duck up that I'm always at least a bit cautious. That's probably for the best, but I liked being a fearless 20-year-old more. Chainsaws were originally meant to be a surgeon's instrument. C-section births in America happen more so on Friday because they take less time than a vaginal birth, and doctors want to start their weekend early. Tapeworm faces are absolutely terrifying. An octopus penis is actually one of their tentacles. So if you would go and pet an octopus at SeaWorld or some other place you could be groping their penis. Actor Daniel von Bargen, Super Troopers, Seinfeld, attempted suicide by shooting himself in the temple with a .38 revolver. He was diabetic and didn't want to go to the hospital for another amputation. Unfortunately he survived and was severely wounded. He also was permanently blinded from the gunshot. There's a transcript of the police call that left me shook. He passed away 3 years later from a battle with diabetes. I remember reading this as why some people duct tape the gun to their hand if they attempt suicide in case the first shot doesn't complete the job. Edit. For those asking why the duct tape. I believe the idea is that you can damage the part of your brain that affects your vision but not die from it. Then you are possibly disabled, blind, and in pain but unable to finish what you started if you dropped or lost the gun. Not much fun to think about. The fact that at literally any second you could lose someone you love. Everyone knows this, but once it's happened a few times you're acutely aware of it. A car wreck, a miscarriage, a heart attack, stroke. Edit. I posted this comment before going to bed at the end of a 12-hour night shift. Definitely didn't expect this to resonate like it has with you folks. I really appreciate all the messages from people checking to make sure I'm okay. While I may not know all you commenters' pains, I empathize with you guys and girl. I hope everyone takes a few extra seconds to let the people you love know how much you care. I watched someone jump off the Stone Arch Bridge in Minneapolis and saw them pee their pants right before they jumped. Hard work won't pay anything back sometimes. Take care of my mother for a decade. But the monster of schizophrenia is getting stronger and stronger. There is nothing I can do. So does the medicine. That anesthesia doesn't always works. My colleague donated one of his kidneys to his brother and he experienced the entire operation without being able to move or scream. Pain and all. Took many months of therapy moving on from this. My mother abandoned me as a baby. My father raised me as an infant. My mother came back and the courts in the 1960s gave custody back to her even though my father fought for me. All my life, my mother demonized my father and worked to keep us apart. All of my life, I have struggled with the feeling that I don't belong. This comes from being raised not belonging to my mother's new family, or my father's new family. I have always carried a pervasive feeling of abandonment. Then one day my father drops the bomb by telling my brother. Sorta cliché, but there are millions and billions of living organisms on your body, so to them, you are their galaxy. Edit. Sorry if I sound like a complete virgin, but holy crap, I've never gotten that much upvotes, thank you for the awards either. Having a social media account lowers your percentage of making physical friends. There was an experiment once where, every hour, a rat had to choose between getting fed or having the pleasure nerve of its brain stimulated. And the rat being tested starved every time. It's pretty interesting but also kind of sad. Thanks, Freeman's Mind. The magnitude of how dirty hotel rooms are. From my first job at KFC, you can't really tell the chicken is spoiled once you put it in the fryer. Somewhere, someplace, someone is starving to death at this moment. Not like I'm regretting it, but makes me sad every time I recall it. Dying from starvation is because your body exhausted all of its resources to feed your brain, and then finally as a last resort it taps into digesting the muscles around vital organs in order to get the ketones your brain needs until there's only one muscle left. Your heart. So technically you die because you ate your own heart. Not a scientifically accurate explanation. Closer to ELI5, but yay. Could have gone a lifetime without knowing that. Edit. That is if you survive until your heart gives out, but other vital organs can go first and kill you earlier. Thanks for the links in the comments. Go read them. I just wrote down the layperson gist of it: greater than, less than. That my dad likely has terminal brain cancer. I was setting up my chart for him and stumbled upon the information. More people jumped from the burning World Trade Center on 9/11 than you think. Do yourself a favor and don't Google it. Bob Ross actually hated his afro. When he started out it was the cheapest hairstyle to maintain, and once he picked up some traction it was too iconic to get rid of. This year, more people will use cocaine than will read a book to their children. Every suicide by hanging that I have had to go to. I can see their regret after it starts and before they pass out from the evidence at the scene. I can't imagine what is happening in people's minds as they struggle to fix something they can't. Leads me to believe, just like the documentary about the Golden Gate Bridge jumpers has said, it almost is always an instant regret. My parents are swingers, and now well into their 70s. Before the Nazis executed people in Auschwitz-Birkenau, they would shave the heads and save the hair of anyone whose hair was long. This was so they could weave it into material and make socks and other clothes with it. I will never forget going to Auschwitz-Birkenau. It's harrowing in ways that words and pictures cannot describe. There was a woman in the 18th century called Mary Toft who stuffed dead rabbits into her vagina and later acted as if she gave birth to them. The doctors believed her till one of them examined found corn in one of the rabbits' stomachs. It couldn't have been in there. She also did the same with a hog's bladder and a cat's legs. Also with about 15 rabbits. Don't know why I even know this. Edit. Who the duck found this helpful? Please don't put rabbits in your vagina, or any other hole. My dad and I both took DNA tests for fun, and I found out we aren't related. 0% match. Horses masturbated by hitting their 1-meter-long dong against their bellies. Female horses rub against wooden poles, and end up with splinters 10 centimeters long in their coochie. That you have to clean lumps out from underneath a horse's foreskin from time to time. Because your body uses vitamin C to make collagen, which holds your skin together and makes scar tissue. When you get scurvy, your old wounds reopen. My dad showed me a science video disproving the theory that gravity is a force. I felt like Squidward when he got stuck in the future. Edit, here's the video I saw. Edit, I'm awed by the sheer amount of physics nerds that crawled out of the woodwork for this comment. You guys are the real MVPs. That my father died believing that I was not his child. When my mother told me, it broke my heart and has forever changed my relationship with my family. Edit, thanks for your interest in my story. It's helped to put answers to some of your questions, and to read some of your stories. Dolphins will use a pufferfish to get high, sucking on the poison they excrete. Alternately, they will also use fish as a fleshlight, and effectively duck them to death to get their jollies. Monkeys, baboons are also known to do this, but with frogs, toads instead. Nature is so beautiful. Edit, I serviced my mom's car and came back to 5K worth of upvotes LMAO. Thanks for the upvotes, thanks for the awards. I never thought that my knowledge on animal fellatio would get me so much karma. Nice one, Reddit. Aneurysms can happen to anyone at any time for no reason and can burst at any time for no reason. Everything I read on here just now. Beyond that, the heinous deeds of several serial killers. Edit, to clarify, because I fell asleep last night before I could, I'm talking about serial killers like H.H. Holmes, Murder Castle, John Wayne Gacy, Killer Clown, Richard Ramirez, Satanist, Rapist, and Albert Fish, Child Rapist and Cannibal. His was by far the most ducked up emo. Especially after reading his confession, or hearing rather, and it makes me wonder how such a vile person came into existence. Edit 2, thanks for the silver. The strange pistachio you get every few nuts, the one that tastes a bit funny is because a navel orange worm died inside of it. Sorry. Just think about eating its cute furry head next time. Before I found this site I was just like you. I had friends. I had a social life. I had a mild drinking problem. Your child is more likely to be abused by someone you know than a stranger. You literally have to protect children more from their own family and friends than random criminals. That my date of birth is exactly 9 months after my dad's birthday. There are regulations on how much ground-up cockroach may be in coffee. Not if. How much. If you look like your mom, you are your dad's type. That my girlfriend once sucked her friend's husband's penis when she went to the bathroom, yesterday. Wait. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe, you sexy human.